Test. Test, test. Good?
Yeah.
All right. You good, Heather? Good? All right, let's get started at 7:02. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I have no changes to the order of business tonight. Communication to the board. I just forwarded an email from Stephanie Audia to the whole board. I actually didn't realize she didn't send it to everybody. But you all have that in your inbox. I just sent it before the meeting and to you, Jeff, as well. So if you can give it to Colleen to submit with the minutes, that would be great regarding school security. I did not receive any other communication unless anyone else did. Nothing. Okay. Public comment. Would anyone like to speak tonight? All right. Thank you. We'll move right on to my chair report, which I have nothing to report this week. So we will move on to the superintendent's report and dive into the budget again. Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Carl. I want to open up with the month of March being very, very important for a couple of reasons. One is, in order of my priority, is to thank the Board of Education. It is Board of Education Appreciation Month. Little did you know. So I wanted to share my thanks for all of you for serving in your volunteer capacities, for dedicating your time and your efforts to continuously supporting the educational experiences here in New Hartford. As a small token of gratitude, please take a notepad. And because you are also very, very sweet, we've also had custom Hershey bars made up for you, which say, "Thank you, Board Member Appreciation Month." So please take one. Mary, we have your chocolate and your pad here. We can send it out to you, or you could pick it up. But this is an appreciation to everybody. So thank you so much. There's also a very special message from the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. So I'll have you direct your attention to the screen behind me.
Thank you. I'm happy to join you today, albeit virtually. Just like school, we know there's no substitute for being with you in person. And while I can't be in Connecticut today, I'm so thankful to have a moment with you now to celebrate Board of Education Appreciation Month. And personally, thank you and acknowledge how hard you're all working for the children of Connecticut. I want to thank Patrice, Lisa, and the whole team at CABE for the great work you do. CABE has really stepped up in these last several years, and I've been fortunate to be able to work more closely with CABE. Thank you, CABE, and thank you all boards of education. What a time to be leading. You've done a great job. We say that board members are volunteers, but that couldn't be farther from the reality. Over the past few years, you've taken on heavy fire. You've faced threats, bullying, protests. You stay in the arena. You wear many hats, and you roll up your sleeves to get to work for our schools and for our students. From elevating critical issues like learning recovery and mental health support, to ensuring that parents and communities get to have more of a say in their child's learning. Your efforts in and for your communities make all the difference. Thank you for all you do. I remember when I was in Connecticut as a commissioner, I worked so closely with Bob, Patrice, and so many at CABE to make sure that we safely reopen our schools. I think I saw them more than I saw my own kids during that time because we were on Zooms almost daily. And I counted on CABE as a critical partner. And I remember having conversations with our local board leaders and our board members and recognizing that your jobs changed so much too, that so much was at stake. Well, what we're focusing on now is a little bit different than reopening our schools. but the level of urgency should be just as high. We need to make sure that we're raising the bar for our students. We don't have to build the system back the way it was before. Shame on us if we do. Let's raise the bar by looking at creative ways to give our students a more rigorous and comprehensive education. Let's raise the bar by boldly improving our children's learning conditions. Now is the time to make sure we address the teacher shortage in Connecticut and across the country. And we also have to make sure we're providing mental health supports in a way that's much better than we did before. Before, we only dealt with mental health after the trauma. Let's focus on Tier 1 mental health supports for all of our students. And let's raise the bar by strengthening the pathways our students have to rewarding lives and careers. In Connecticut, there's so much energy around making sure students have career and college pathways, making sure that we're tapping them on the shoulder in middle school to let them know the careers that exist in Connecticut and beyond. We have an opportunity to reimagine what our schools look like, what our high schools look like, with micro-credentials, internships. As board members, you're at the forefront of that. You're the leaders that are going to get that done. Now's the time to transform education for the better, to build strong systems that can make sure the progress we've made outlasts us in our current positions. With leaders like you, I have complete confidence that we can do it. You led us through a pandemic, and you're going to lead us as we reimagine education and raise the bar. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the chocolate too.
You're very welcome. In appreciation to all of you. Also want to send out a shout out to all of the volunteers that came in during Read Across America, and they came into classrooms and volunteered their time to read to our students in Bakerville, in New Hartford, and in Antolini, inclusive of State Representative Mark Anderson, participated at Bakerville. So thank you all. Up next is the superintendent's 23-24 budget. So the changes that have been made that were sent out electronically and then were posted online were some of the budget pieces that we discussed last time, with some minor tweaks in terms of the 23-24 school year being relocated to one spot, and then another additional savings to a employee benefits line that was redistributed. So the budget came down to 3.63. So that was the only update there. But I wanted to answer additional questions if we should have any today. As we know, our budget workshop with the Board of Finance is on March the 18th. So that leaves us this evening. And if we need to call a special meeting, we certainly can do so to finalize a vote before we provide the Board of Education budget to the Board of Finances.
Everyone has the revised budget. I mean, that was just a minor change that Janet sent out, but do we have any other follow-up questions on anything?
Okay, I do. Sorry, I don't think I need it. Okay. On the regular education professional staff, how many FTEs do we have? On 111.
On 111, I have 25 FTEs. And in addition to that, kindergarten enrollment as an updated projection is up to 60 students now.
Wow. Okay.
We're very popular. 60. Gigantic increase.
All right.
Yep. Not just birth rates, but plus 60 officially registered, penned in, brought in their information to the schools.
So what does that put the classes at?
We're at a threshold of about 20.
What? what?
Because you have three.
Yeah,
Three state teachers.
we have 3 teachers there now. So that's
You're
60,
You're at 20 per class?
20 per class in kindergarten.
That's too high.
Like,
That's way too high. So are we going to talk about putting in another teacher?
up for discussion.
Yeah, you can't put 20 kindergartners in a classroom. That's just ridiculous.
So when, I mean, we're still kind of early in the registration time period, aren't we?
We'll probably get more.
We're going to get more. Historically, that's what that has shown.
I think this is kind of a
I
no-brainer.
think we need to add a section.
So they have all their paperwork in and everything else?
Yes, ma'am.
So there's nobody sitting on the fence?
That is correct.
Wow.
I know.
And did I hear any talk that of the possibility that there might be a request for another 5th grade teacher? Is that something that's in?
We're on the bubble again. We're at 60, but that's more predictable because those are current students. Instead of outside of opening that to another section, we may look at other ways of providing support for students in that grade level. But I'm not anticipating a huge move-in for 5th grade students specifically.
I just heard it was a needy class in general, though, on top of it being high numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Do you have room down there? Or- Really tucking that one in? I was just. Is there room down at New Hartford for another class or?
Yes, yeah.
That went from 37 to 60 in a couple weeks.
Yes, as registration became open, again, these were based on projections solely off of birth rates. So this did not account for any real estate folks that came in and purchased those transactions, nothing like that. Something incredibly hard to project. I was going solely off of birth rate with +5 because that's typically what we get, but that had increased so much more.
So does that 60 number include or not include birth rates?
It does.
But the 60 is real. The 60,
The 60 is a real number,
it's
hard
right,
number.
right.
Only projected to increase, not to decrease. As we're in the month of March, we still have April, May, and June, and July, and anyone late to the game in August that wants to register their child for kindergarten or pre-K, but mostly kindergarten or any other grade level. I can't project all the move-ins.
Right.
That's almost an impossible task. There's real estate available, but who's going to purchase it and what age level children or grade level children they have is an impossibility to project.
And how about pre-K? We, like I mentioned to you, we used to have one section.
Mhm.
We expanded it to 2. Where are we in that process for enrollment?
Just getting that started and scheduling visits on March. It's in the month of March. It's in this month. So we'll have a more solidified number as we go.
Okay.
But my projection currently is for those 2 sections at about 15. That was projected, as you see, from last year, and it is very high right now. And students that come into our pre-K program come from all different backgrounds, daycares, and levels of need, from special education to regular education and beyond. So that's a very difficult also to project, but based on birth rate right now, we're at 30, which would promote the 2 sections easily. I'm more concerned that may bubble up and increase after March, but I'll have more information at that point in time.
Okay. Is there, and I guess this is to everybody, is there still a shortage of pre-K program, access? I know it was a problem during the pandemic, but.
I mean, you have them in the area, the same ones that
Right.
are always around. Why?
No, adding a section to kindergarten obviously is a significant cost. And I was wondering if it makes sense to look at lowering the pre-K to 1 section to help offset that. Not that I support it, I'm
You
just,
can't do that. It's
Yep.
just too many pre-K kids in one class. You
30
just can't.
students with.
oh no, we
Yeah.
would have to cut it to 15 and only allow 15. or so, pre-K.
But doesn't that bring us in some money?
It does. It doesn't pay for itself. It's about, what is it, 50% funded by tuition?
Then maybe we should look at the rates to help fund it more.
Yeah, I already provided the rates in my last communication
did.
to the
I
board,
think
so
we
you
should
could see
keep-
that we're at the high end of that. It's
I think we
high.
should keep
It's high as
the
it
two
is.
sections in pre-K and still gotta add a section in kindergarten.
Do you have a estimated cost of that section adding?
No, depending on where I hire for STEP and
Right.
medical. So I can get that, and I will provide that to the board.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Travis, yes, sir.
Put on your,
So if we know we need another kindergarten teacher, why don't we just hire one or put it in the budget for it? Like, is there anything else to talk about? And as far as pre-K goes, we charge for pre-K, right? So if we get more pre-K signups, we have more pre-K students. Am I wrong in any of that thinking?
There'll be a motion to add to the superintendent's budget, and then we'll vote on that and have discussion on that. And the same thing could be posted for pre-K. Right now, I'm projecting the two sections, which we're good at. If that were to increase and the board would like to discuss adding a section now to the budget, they can certainly do that too. But those will be motions and then discussion.
Could you wait until the final signups are actually in and then make those additions if necessary? Or you need to put them in the budget before? it
I'd
goes
rather
out?
feel, safer than sorry. In this particular case, we want to have an educator, quality educator before our children. I think it's of utmost importance, and I think I hear where you're going with that.
And so shouldn't we assume that we're probably going to get more pre-K signups? So we should just go for the extra section in pre-K and extra teacher for kindergarten itself?
Pre-K will have a better idea in this month. Kindergarten, we already know where we're at, and it's only going to increase from there. Pre-K, we try to cap with like peers, role model peers that are in the same two sections that we have currently.
Yeah.
So we have a nice cap for that usually. We may not need to have that third
Right.
because we're at a good spot right now, but kindergarten, I would feel more comfortable recommending that.
Could we wait until our April meeting before we add in another kindergarten teacher?
I don't believe we can. We have to present
we have to
to the
present
Board of
budget.
Finance.
Isn't it the same thing of like, kind of back to the security thing, like we can add it and it could be taken out if necessary?
That's a great question. I know that at the end of the year, there's always a way to reconcile accounts, and if we're giving back to the town, I'm sure that'd be greatly appreciated.
Travis, the only reason I brought up pre-K is we're not required to offer pre-K. And it is a cost to the board. You know, the tuition pays for half the cost. So I was just throwing out the idea of what our
Yeah.
options are.
Want to make a motion?
So in each kindergarten class, there's a teacher and is there an assistant also?
Yeah,
So you'd need to hire another teacher and an assistant, right? Or would you be able to pull it from somewhere else?
definitely another teacher. In terms of support, I'd have to look very carefully at the cohort of kids that we have and try to determine the level of support until those classes are made, those class sections. That would be difficult to establish right now. What those needs are, especially with a lot of them being move-ins. I don't know the exact need yet. If that were the case, then I would come back and propose that going forward.
So we're best to figure for a teacher and a teacher.
And a para educator, correct?
In a perfect world, you would like every kindergarten class to have a para or an aide. Can I make a motion to add a fourth kindergarten section to the
Second.
budget?
Tony seconds. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, thanks, everybody. I think that's the right move.
But
So-
you're not, wait a minute. I'm sorry.
No.
You're not going to go out and hire someone now just for the 60 students, are you?
So
Or are you going
once-
to wait and see how many more children sign up?
Once we get approved, once it's voted here, then I go to the next level and have it approved at the Board of Finance level. Then we could post the position and begin the interview process.
But
For the
Board of-
students that we're going to have at 60, if it's increased slightly after that at 65, we can still spread those kids out through the 4 sections.
But the Board of Finance has nothing to do with how many teachers we have.
No, but they have the authority to say whether our budget that we've
Okay,
voted on here
Yes.
is approved there or not. So before
it.
moving forward, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. I'd rather do it in an orderly fashion.
okay.
The same motion?
Jeff, the assumption is we voted to increase the kindergartens to 4 sections, which would be, you would need to hire whatever staff you need to support that 1 section.
That is correct.
Okay, we don't have to make a separate motion
Nope.
for an aid or.
No,
para.
because I will provide that amount and then
Okay.
provide it in a revised version of the budget.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Of course.
Very surprising.
Okay, so on textbooks,
I'm sorry,
One
Penny, if I
second.
could, just before we get off that,
Tim has a question.
because this has to go to the Board of Finance, right? If it comes back again, so we are turning over every rock, right? When you look at these classroom sizes, grade 2 is a 15, right, class size. I don't know anything about grade 2, how they're doing, right? But if we went that to 3 sections, right, you'd have, does that make sense, right? Just as an alternative.
It certainly could in terms of moving staff around. To move a grade 2 teacher to kindergarten is a little bit challenging, can be done. We're looking at changing of a full curriculum from teaching kids further along the literacy continuum in mathematics and everything else to now teaching kindergarten at a much more basic level. I would look to see if any staff currently has experience in kindergarten or any of the primary grades before making such move, and let them know well in advance.
Okay. Yeah, I just think,
Sir-
again, we should be prepared when you present this budget for that question.
Very good. I appreciate the heads up on that. Thank you.
so under textbooks and resources, language arts, what did you say? Why are we going up to $20,000?
Great question. So the textbooks and resources, as well as the curriculum itself, because we're going to be implementing a much more robust curriculum relative to the science of reading and teaching our kids reading. We had discussed that. We were going to be adding monies to the budget for improvement of instruction for literacy, which will include professional development, which will include curriculum supports, and also the textbooks that we're going to be needing to purchase. So Heather worked with us as a team to start to go out to different vendors that were on our list and to provide the figures to me, which would then get placed into the budget for improvement of instruction to help kids be better readers, be better comprehenders, be better decoders of the text that's in front of them and connect it to the world around them.
Okay, so it has to be that much more?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I understand the reading because that was from the state, but I didn't realize the other two.
Yeah, and you could see throughout that we have offset that as well with grants that we've received.
Okay,
So the overall impact is not as heavily felt because we took some of the grant monies from Title IV and from REAP and others that we were able to attain
right,
to offset those costs because they are exorbitant. They are large costs.
okay. How many nurses do we have?
We currently have 3 nurses
Full-time?
full-time. When one works after, so hold on a second. We have Marie Kitch, Liza DiMartino, and Kara Albee that work, one at each building. And then Kara also performs support in the primary grades in the pre-K classroom, if I'm not mistaken. Thumbs up. Just nurse. Thank you. I thought she was providing some support. Thank you, Amy. Yeah, if someone's out, Kara, please help us.
And what do they work? 8:30 to, or, yeah, 8:30 to 3?
To the end of the day for safety reasons. And Kara also supports one of our students that's outplaced if there's a need for a substitute monitor on his bus. She also provides that service for him.
But, so they work until 3 p.m. when school is out, right?
Yep.
Okay. The curriculum work. Under improvement of instruction,
Mhm.
you have a grant in there for $10,000. Why is it, why the 15,000? Or why the $5,000 increase? What is that for?
That's for the professional development that we are scheduled to provide, to receive, and to train our teachers when we're implementing the literacy program.
The curriculum work?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for all the questions.
No. That's quite all right.
Technical support, system support, that's just that one person?
Yes, that's Mr. Carmen.
Wow. Okay, legal fees. $30,000? Why?
Legal fees there, if I can get to them, well, I don't have to look at them. I know that we have 3 contractual contracts that we'll be negotiating this upcoming school year. So
Was
that is
that
to
much more?
that is to provide support and contract language and legal advice to make sure that we're doing those correctly and can complete those accurately and legally.
But
For 3 contracts. And then in addition to that would be any other support or assistance that is necessary for special education cases or things that have gone to anything litigious that we continue to need support with. Last time we spoke, you had mentioned perhaps you think that's enough, and I felt that that was a good amount.
well, looked at it again, I think it's a little high, but. Okay, professional development on the next page. What is that? That's just the, under central office, I'm sorry. Here, do you want to see my page?
Sure, Penny.
This one here. What's this? What?
Professional development, 324. Sorry, 1 second, let me get your narrative. So those are going to be relative and associated to any professional development that I would be taking part of, or our business manager or fiscal assistant would need for trainings on any of the accountability software or accounting software, or for me, if it's any coursework related to Board of Education, communications, roles, responsibilities, things of that nature.
Who's the business manager?
Not business manager, fiscal assistant, Amy Norton.
So it's just Amy and you?
Amy, myself, if Janet needs any
Okay.
trainings, or if Gail does as well. That covers everybody's in central office, as well as Mike Lynch, Pupil Services,
Right.
or Student Services
Student
Director, and
Services.
Kellyanne, who's just new to us now,
Okay,
would need additional support and training there too,
okay,
for a whole new team.
got it.
Okay.
So there's administrators, there's you, are you considered in the administrator's salary?
I am not.
So it is just the 2 principals,
And Mr. Lynch,
3 of those. And how many admin assistant secretaries?
currently 3 and a part-time at Antolini.
Almost done.
Okay.
We have, how many custodians?
We have 3 custodians and a part-time custodian as well.
The part-time person is up here, right?
Is up here, correct? And also to help out at central office to clean there too.
Why are we having to pay them overtime?
Because of different functions that occur outside of the school day. So for basketball in the winter season, that's just one example. In the winter season, they're coming to check on the heating systems to make sure everything is firing and functioning correctly so that schools can open on time and that the buildings are safe for students to enter in with heating. and they are also performing different cleanup. And then overtime for summertime work is getting all schools ready for students and staff with a more deep and thorough cleansing, which has been underfunded previously when compared to their contracted rates.
And why do we need a substitute custodian?
Because if they're out, we have to make sure that vomit is cleaned up. We have to make sure that the cafeteria is cleaned.
But can't we
that-
ask our part-time person to come in and fill that position?
Sometimes we do, and that pays from that line. If they're available, I can't guarantee that they're always available since they're part-time. They may have another job or something else that they're committed to.
Okay. Emergency repairs for 53,000.
Yes. This has been a great lesson that I've learned just in the few months that I've been here, that emergency repairs happen all of the time. From a dishwasher solenoid cylinder frying that needs to be repaired that I could not predict
Right.
ever, to most recently, sludge at the bottom of an oil tank. So these emergency repairs just come out of absolutely nowhere. And I do my best to keep track of every single one of them, but things happen. And that's where those funds are coming from.
But you're going up 14,000.
Yes,
You think it's going to be that much?
I do.
Then why is it not in capital?
Because I feel that the emergency repairs that come through this have come left and right for the short period of time that I've
Right.
been here. And I've already seen increases of thousands of dollars, but they're different items. Nothing per se that's a $5,000 or $10,000 plus expenditure, which I would have put into capital.
Okay.
Hold on.
Thank you, Travis.
Under that item, 38.9 was being spent up until this coming June 30th.
38.9 under,
Right,
hold on, I'll get there.
That's what the current budget shows. Do you have a feeling for where that is right now without pulling up that little expenditure report?
Yes, it only has maybe $1,600 in it. And
Left.
we're in March.
Left.
Yes, sir. That's why I could safely project that that's going to be an area of deficit that I'll have to then cover from another line item. And I'm trying to be as a good of a prognosticator as I can with emergency repairs.
So, I know, I get that. I hate, but we just added 60,000 plus to the budget, right, with this teacher, which is probably not going to be able to. That's probably going to have to definitely happen. We're not going to lose students going forward.
Right.
So we need to be prepared to look at other line items, and that might be one of them. So if we're spending $40,000 last year, maybe we can get away with $40,000 this year. I don't know.
Can't say that I fully support that, but it's the board's prerogative to recommend that cut and put it through as a motion. And I don't know how we would solve
Can I ask
that.
a question?
Yes, Travis.
So I'm just a little confused where some of these questions are coming from. And maybe it's just because I don't understand the process 100%, but you and your team have spent countless hours putting all this stuff together, right?
Yes, sir.
And,
Yep.
and we hired you to do this correctly, right? So why are we asking you to justify how to do your job in the best way you can? So if you feel that we've been under budgeting expenses for emergency costs or whatever, and you feel that that expenditure should go up, where is our part in telling you to bring that down?
I think that everyone feels a sense of great stewardship to the taxpayer base and wants to make sure that every dollar that's spent is spent in a way that we're going to be held accountable for, and that we are doing the best with what we can without overspending to the tune of a tax increase, which maybe people feel uncomfortable with. So I think everyone's trying to be a good steward over that. They understand the importance of serving on a board of education. They understand the importance of the taxpayer dollar, and they're trying to find a balance. So when we are asking questions, it's more for clarity or to say, hey, have you thought this through a little bit more? I'm not offended at all. I welcome the questions because I want to be open and transparent and do the best that we can.
Are these questions that we can also just, in the, what month we've had this budget, we can just email you about these types of questions?
Yeah,
am I
and
right?
some have. Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is correct, Travis. Kelly, Mike?
I piggyback off of what Travis says. I get where he's coming from. I struggle with this, Travis, every time we have budget season and we talk about this. I hate going through this and, nitpicking, $10,000 here, $5,000 there. I feel like I agree with you. I feel like Jeff has done his job, and if it's in here, it's probably most likely necessary. But I think I'm struggling even more with the fact that we were going to, half this board was going to vote to put in for 3 security guards. We were going to find money for that, and we're nickeling and diming this budget. I'm kind of baffled by that, but
I think we were gonna put in 1 security guard in year 1, security guard in year 2, another one in year 3, so it wasn't 3.
well, eventually it would be 3. But okay, so we were going to put in 1. Like, I don't know. I think our the budget is great the way it is. In fact, I was going to ask you about special ed and ask if we need to increase, special ed teachers. I've heard that there's a lot of needy students coming in needing intervention, and there's not enough support. Do you feel like that?
So feelings aside, data and working with our staff currently right now to understand where we are and where we will be next year. Again, an unknown cohort of kids coming up, right? In the kindergarten and some of the move-ins, there may be, again, that case. But without full knowledge of that, it's hard to, again, project that. Special education is always an area that the board can always spend more money on to support our students. And we would put those monies into great use always, because students need support according to their IEP goals, whether it's academic, whether it's behavioral, emotional, or socially, and providing students the opportunity to navigate through challenges, whatever they may be. I would never be against. I was just trying to be, again, so fiscally conservative and making sure that the increases that I put forward as our team were responsive to where we are now, with some projection to the future as much as we possibly can. And thinking of students that will be exiting in 6th grade, and then trying to reallocate some of those resources, trying to be super, super fiscal about that.
It's our job to go through the budget. Because when if the Board of Finance has cut $40,000, $50,000, we got to find it. So that's what we're talking about. That's what we got elected to do.
How do we know that they're going to have us cut anything though?
You don't.
We
We're just
don't.
talking about potential.
Right.
We've been through this process. This is my 6th year doing this.
I understand that.
This is a friendly Board of Finance. It wasn't that way 5 years ago. We all know that. So that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, our job is to, put forth a budget that meets the needs of the students, obviously, first and foremost. But, we could spend unlimited money. We could raise the budget 20% and do some really wonderful things, but we realize we can't do that. So that's our job, to partner with Jeff to make sure we're spending in the right places and prioritizing things we feel are necessary.
And if we have to come back, that's one thing. I just don't want to cut it now.
Right.
Just remind me how much we're paying for heating oil, please.
We were able to lock in at $3.10 a gallon and utilize 35,000 gallons of fuel oil each year.
So I guess that's
At $3.10
Okay.
is where we're at,
All right.
which is a great rate lock. I've only seen it increase since.
Okay.
And we are currently in a contract for $4.12 until the end of this year. So this is for projections for next year, which would be a locked in amount of at $3.10 a gallon.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So Jeff, I had 2 questions that I wanted to ask you. Penny, are you all done?
I have one more.
Oh, go. I'll wait.
Okay, go ahead.
This tax sheltered annuity. Who gets this?
Those that have elected to mostly are newer employees.
Okay. How many, do you know about how many?
That I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and look through each individual again and consult with Amy Norton on that. I could provide that.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, Tim.
Thank you. All right, so the one thing I was going to ask about was the emergency repairs, right? And I know the capital budget this year is lower than it's been. A lot of, not always, but a lot of times emergency repairs come out of deferred maintenance. Are there any large, big ticket items that should be in capital right now for maintenance on systems, large systems in any one of the three schools? Just something to think about.
Yes, probably by next year there will be, because I'm going to start to look at oil tank replacements. Those will be very large capital improvements. I don't want to do them all in the same year. I want to spread them out over time, and I'm attaining quotes already for that process of draining, removing, repiping, testing the leaks in the system, and then refilling. Working with Hughes Mechanical on that currently. Yep.
And then the second
Yep.
question, with busing,
Yes.
all right, we were able to save 62,000 with special ed by removal of one bus. At least my children's bus is relatively empty. Is there any opportunity with DATCO to consolidate some of these routes? They do it when it's necessary for them because they're short bus drivers.
Correct.
But is there an opportunity to consolidate some bus routes to be able to save a bus?
There may be, once we have the new kiddos all registered and all their addresses in, and we plug it in through the system. We could certainly work with Dennis to see if that's another area, if we had to make a cut, to be able to do that and save some monies there. Currently, this is, again, utilizing the bus routes that we have throughout the entire town, right? And I believe that they do it in a pretty consistent way, in a very safe way as well. When roads are closed or trees are down, they've been very responsive, but I will absolutely request and ask that if any can be consolidated further than they are currently right now.
Don't we already have a contract with them?
Yeah,
though?
we want to make sure that we also
Can we
have,
break that somewhere?
Well, this is how many more years are we? This is the last year with them?
one more year.
One more year.
Yep.
All right. And then we're on the same schedule as Northwest.
That is correct, yes, as Region 7.
Right.
The other thing I was going to make sure that I mentioned was that bus routes do need to be short in time. So if we do combine routes and we go over the board of 1 hour type of policy, that won't bode well, and I don't think families would appreciate that either. But it's certainly something that I could investigate, and I will do that for bus routes for next year.
Do they have extra small buses? You know, the smaller bus that maybe they could use on the routes where there aren't many children?
Yes, they do.
Would that save money? Do we pay less for those little buses than we do for the big ones?
I will find out.
Okay.
Still gonna pay the bus driver.
We do,
I know,
but the
but,
route itself and fuel cost, so bus.
yeah, I mean, if you have a little bus, maybe it wouldn't cost as much to pay gas for it,
Yep.
mileage wise. I don't know, just trying to think of ways to
Does
have a small bus.
like to Tim's point and Penny's point, we have a contract. If you were able to do those things, do we actually still get the savings?
I believe so, if we're not utilizing a whole separate bus for the route. For example, the one, like we mentioned, our last budget meeting, where under 511, under pupil transportation, that one bus was at a cost of $62,000. We don't no longer need it, so it's eliminated. The contract is more to secure the rate of what it costs to drive to and from every day, to and from.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think during the pandemic, if I remember correctly, we had one less bus for a while because there were less students taking the bus. So I think that we can. But you
Yeah,
can
it's
verify
locked in
that.
for the
Yeah,
rate, not
right.
necessarily just the buses. But I will look into that for sure.
For those of you wondering why I ask questions tonight, it's because I'm having a hard time agreeing to this much of an increase in our budget for next year. I mean, the increase in curriculum, the lawyer fees, you name it, whatever. I mean, I realize there's some costs that we have to pay, like for electricity and for heating and everything in buses, but some of this other stuff, 3.63 is, or it's 3.69 is just, it's too high compared to what we've done before.
The majority, Penny, majority of the increases are in salaries and
I realize that. So, I mean,
Contractual
some of it's
obligations.
contractual. There's not much we can do about it, but I'm just trying to think of other ways for us to save money. And
No, I understand, yeah.
I mean, I can remember the days we'd go before the Board of Finance and they would just say, cut, cut, cut. And I really hate for that to happen this year to Jeff.
I guess, a lot of my questions about what you're asking and a lot of my frustration sometimes here is I don't believe that we should be constantly cutting and cutting and cutting. And I personally, I just don't believe that we should be here to try to keep shortchanging the students, the teachers, the staff, the administration. I'd like to see us be able to go out and pay our teachers more, pay our substitutes more, get better health care for them, things that we all would want in our own jobs. I'd love to be able to be the advocates for our staff and, our teachers to get that. But every time we kind of come together around this stuff, it's about how we can squeeze everything down smaller, tighter, lower. I understand that's being physically responsible and everything, but I just felt that the Board of Ed was the place to really advocate for how can we kind of give the most to our students. And when we're talking about cutting things all the time, we're taking away from them. And so, I understand where you come from too. We come from like two different points of view. You don't agree with that. And
Right.
I guess I'm just trying to advocate for the people that may feel like investing in education is important. And it's one of the reasons why our town is a desirable place to move. It's one of the reasons why our property values stay high and keep going up. So especially when we're talking about the younger age kids and not providing the best things we can to keep attracting good families to New Hartford, it's confusing. Giving a good education costs more money. It's, just the way it is. And I don't know. I just want to keep kind of, I guess, fighting for that other side.
I agree with you as far as giving our children the best. I would love to give them more money, but maybe it's also time to revisit the discussion about consolidation
Oh.
also with schools.
I mean, I know that's something that's been a big thing in our town for a long time and predates when I was here and definitely predates when I was involved with the board. But if something like that would give us the opportunity to give the kids a much better educational experience and maybe give our staff more help, or if that's beneficial to everybody, then we should look at that as well. I just think we get kind of stuck in political routes sometimes, and I'd like to see us kind of push more for not how we can. I get the Board of Finance is the final say, and they'll come back and say, no, this is too much money, and then we have to go through that situation. But why not just put everything we want to begin with and then have the tough conversations about the cuts afterwards? Things like the security that you guys want could go in there. Things like other board members want can go in there, and then we can kind of figure out how to make it work afterwards instead of pushing all the cuts before it goes to Board of Finance. Does that make any sense to anybody else? We do such a great job of communicating to on this board. It's great.
I think we have to be stewards. We have to be stewards to the people that voted us in. I mean, again.
The people that voted you in, and we could be stewards to people that we all can.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think anyone on this board is volunteering to not support the teachers, not have the best possible education for our children, not have the best medical care for our teachers and our administrators. Am I right? Does everybody out here on the board want all that for everybody? We all want a lot of things, right? But we can't just be a free-for-all and just put everything in. We have to be good stewards of the people that voted us in, that we're representing. And so we have to figure out ways that we can come together, and really the taxpayers are going to be the ones who are going to annihilate us at the end of the day, right? They're going to come back and say, you put too much in the budget. So I don't think this is a mindless exercise to have to go through and try to figure out what can we cut. I mean, we are investing a lot in the teachers. We're investing a lot in the administration. We're investing a lot in the infrastructure. That's very clear in the budget. But in an ideal world, we'd love to have security guards for our kids and make sure our administrators are safe. We'd love to have the best curriculum and the best of everything, but we can't afford it unless the taxpayers want to pay it.
And Travis, I'm not sure if you're aware, but our budget is 3/4 of the town budget. And not everybody has students in school. So
That part I completely understand, but what I'm saying is I don't think that at this moment, before we bring that budget to Board of Finance, that all these things should be
well,
pushing us in such a strict direction.
I think the whole purpose of this is making sure we get what we need, and then parsing through and having options if we do need to cut, you know. But I agree with what you're saying. I mean,
We ask for so much without it being over the top. And,
Yeah,
you know,
It's,
just
everybody
have to
likes
add
to say, I'd like to give this, I'd like to be able to do this, it's a lot of talk, but we can sit here and actually do it.
Well, we
So,
can't. Well, we can't.
we
do
could,
it. Well,
if we could
can't.
agree.
We can't. The problem is we're going to the Board of Finance and they're going to annihilate these guys. When they go before the Board of Finance, which, as he said, they haven't. This is a friendly Board of Finance. The reality of the situation is he will get annihilated at the Board of Finance if he asks for too much. So the whole goal here, right, is to figure out where we can all come to a consensus that's reasonable, that they're not going to destroy you and say, go back and start cutting, right? Is that what we're trying to accomplish here tonight?
Trying to have a good balance.
It has
A balanced
answers.
approach.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think that I
We've
heard.
yet to go, and at this meeting that we're having tonight, can't remember in recent history where we've actually cut. We're just talking about potential cuts. We've always approved the budget as presented to us at this meeting, which I'm sure we'll do tonight. And it goes in front of the Board of Finance and they say yay or nay. And if they say yay, then we're done. If they say cut, then we gotta have, the conversations that we're having tonight are gonna have to resume. But at least we've
Right.
started them, just prepared. He's answered our questions, so he'll be able to answer the Board of Finance questions. When they say, how come we're 58,000 on capital or for emergency repairs? He's got the answer. This isn't a useless waste of our time. We're all getting educated, and so is Jeff. So
Right,
that's
and
the
the-
history of this.
If you consider the inflation and everything, what's going on, you know, just in the last year or two, a 3% increase isn't outrageous.
No, it's
Or
not.
3.3.
Inflation's 8%.
Yeah.
Or even 4, let's just say, yeah, right, by the time you're a teacher. But,
Which, yeah, you're right. I mean, when
I mean,
you
it's
talk about inflation, you're not,
reasonable.
yeah, it is.
It's a reasonable increase.
And again, we're probably slated to
Getting my
educate
chocolate.
the same number of students. Right? At the end of the day, we're only 6 lower than last year.
I think we're more now.
We're we're
actually more.
+2 at this point, only to increase. Yeah, 446 to 448.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're 430. Right?
448, we picked up 20, we picked up 23.
60, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, so you had 6.
Yeah, so
We'll
we're
be
educating
flat,
more
a
students
little bit more.
for 4% increase. All right. Superintendent has proposed a budget. You've added a section that he didn't have in here. And I don't think I heard anybody asking for cuts. I think I heard Penny ask a lot of good questions for information.
So I'll make a motion to pass the budget
Thank you.
for the 2023-24 school year.
You should put in the amount too.
Well, we don't have.
Can we pass it before
We don't
you
have it.
add
With-
what
with
needs
the
to be
re-
added in there?
With the revised
With the
amount
revision,
for
yeah.
the additional kindergarten section.
With the revised amount with the new kindergarten section.
For the additional.
For the additional kindergarten section.
For presentation to the Board of Finance.
And so you guys don't
For
want to add
presentation
in
to the
the
Board of
security
Finance already.
piece?
Well, we
For
do
the
want to
budget?
add.
Well, I
we
was
wanna add
gonna,
in the
I had a
security
dollar
piece.
amount motion, so this is a little
Oh,
different.
sorry, you can't.
All right, so I'll second it just so you can discuss it.
Now it's for discussion.
Penny second.
So now you can discuss it.
So we do want to, Travis, thank you for asking. We do want to put money in the budget for security, one security guard. Jeff sent out a survey. Good job. You sent it out multiple ways, postcard, etc. Have you gotten responses back so far?
Yes, from yesterday's view or even this morning's view, 244 responses so far, and even helped some community members that have called. We're not able to scan the QR code, so lesson learned. Put the link on the actual postcard next time. Another lesson learned. Make sure you put the Board of Education logo on it. Lessons learned as we go through it. This was my first attempt at collecting information and learning the process. So that's currently where we stand. Those numbers can fluctuate. I won't have the deadline for that submission is March the 10th, and then I will present the rest of that information to the board for.
So at that point, we wanted to look at what the survey said to us in terms of being able to say, yes, we'd like to put it into the budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
But I mean, you've got to realize that is sad. I mean, that's 200 responses out of a town of 6,000 something.
They have 3 more days.
And
And I'll push out again because we did the mailing, number 1,
And they did the email.
email number 2, and then I'll do it again.
So if we can, I know we're discussing it, but if we can add the line item in for security in some sort of way, right? Part of that was also maybe talking about doing a consulting or whatever that may be. Then can we also add a line in for special education that Kelly brought up?
We can
To the board.
do
Anything.
whatever. It's our decision.
Just let me remind you, when the Board of Finance looks at our budget, they're also looking at the town's budget. And they also look at Region 7's budget. They can say to Region 7, we don't like it, but Region 7 will never, ever change it. I've never known them to change it in the years that I've lived here. But Board of Finance can say to the Board of Ed and to the town that it's too high, you need to cut someplace.
Right, but then at that point, we can sit down and talk about what to pull out.
Mhm.
So if we want to present something, let's present what you guys want and, special education needs as well.
Carl, can you remind, when is the presentation to the Board of Finance? What day?
Saturday, the 18th, which is
A
the
week from
weekend,
Saturday.
a week from Saturday. So if we want to make any changes, we have to meet next week before the,
Can we
Presentation.
do a special meeting next week virtually
I was going to suggest we do a special meeting.
and defer this until we have the input from the community?
We can. I'm not sure if that's enough time for you to consolidate. It would be. Okay. That works for me, if everyone else is okay with that.
Can I just ask what the opposition is to just putting the line items in now?
The motion right now is to approve it, the one teacher. So you'd have to disapprove that motion and make another motion to add another line afterwards.
I mean, I think that's what we were trying to do
So-
in the last board meeting, was to get it at least put on the budget for a discussion, right? And then make decisions like to pull it out, right, if we had to, and have further discussion.
I
Right?
mean, I kind of,
She's what? Great.
Travis, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
And I think if you put a general security line item in, that could be used for an armed guard or security.
Upgrades,
Upgrades.
doors, whatever.
I just don't know where you put that. Normal security upgrades go into our capital.
Right.
That is correct.
They would.
That's where I would recommend anything physical to the exterior or the functionality infrastructure of the building, from technology to window treatments, whatever it may be. Personnel would have to go under the school offices line.
But if we wanted to put it in there, say if the community came back and said that they were for a armed security guard in our schools and we wanted to use it for that, where would you place it in the budget?
School staff.
So it's got to go in, it's 2 different locations.
That is correct.
And
Yes.
you can't move it. If you
We
put
could
it in
not.
now
We could not.
as
move it.
capital,
We could put it in next week.
But you can't move between
Yeah, you
capital
can't move
and
from
the,
capital
and the
to
budget.
staff.
No,
Right.
I would need special permission from the Board of Finance to do something like that. We would.
But if they approve, I'm just hypothetically, if they approved it, right, with that addition in there, and then it had come back to actually do the guard, I mean, they approved the number, so they would give you the approval to then move it, right?
Correct.
So it just kind of sounds like there's no harm done by adding in what we want and then removing it if we're told to.
Sure.
We can do that before that meeting down, before the Board of Finance,
On the 18th.
next week when we meet,
So in our
During the
special
special
session, we
meeting.
can do it next week before the 18th, and
Yes.
we have to go before the board.
right? Isn't that overtime? That's what the
Yeah.
goal is, right?
To-
Yeah.
If we can make a decision by then, yep.
And then we'll have the feedback, we'll know what people say.
So we're not voting on the budget at all today.
Well, we have a motion right
There's a
now,
motion.
but
You have to remove that motion.
No,
and
we
then-
let me,
vote no.
we just vote no if we,
I'll rescind
But
my
I have a
motion,
question.
so-
no, we can just vote on it. I have a question, Jeff. Do you think we have to pick a date to meet next week, but do you think you could have an estimate of the cost of adding the new kindergarten section? You could.
Yes. I could take care of that by the end of the week, as well as any other special education para support and the salary for security I already produced, but the results won't be available till after the 10th. And I wanted to segregate the information so that it's clear to the board and to the public.
Would it make more sense to wait until the special meeting to vote on this?
It would. So we'll all vote no.
No, he can just pull back his
Well,
motion.
That's up to Tony. Tony wants to post
If you
motion.
want to
Yeah.
pull,
Yeah, I can rescind the motion till Tuesday or whenever we meet.
Not Tuesday.
No, whenever.
we'll pick a day.
Did you get that, Colleen? They're rescinding the motion. And I'll pull back my second.
And is there any chance, Jeff, you can get some feedback from the teachers on what specific special education needs they may
Sure.
suggest?
I could tell you with our ESSER funding monies ending, that they're going to welcome that.
Okay.
Yeah. They're going to welcome special education support. They're going to welcome any additional support to help out our students. Name the cohort, name the classroom. They're going to welcome any additional support.
I have one question too. I almost
Yes.
forgot. Have the teachers been asked about their opinion about the armed security guard? Like,
Yes.
Is there,
Survey went out to all staff.
okay.
Yeah,
Do you
everybody.
have the feedback on that yet? Or is
It's still coming in.
still coming in?
They
Okay.
have till the March 10th deadline,
Okay.
just like everyone else.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
curious just to hear how they feel.
Yeah, I'll break that down by response. So staff, resident with students.
Okay.
So we could see that.
I meant to ask you this before, Jeff, but is there any update on the medical insurance increase? Or is that still being worked on for July renewal?
Medical for underemployed benefits?
And employee benefits, yes. The 7%, I don't know if,
No, that's flat. That's at a capped rate. That's fixed.
okay,
So that one's locked in.
got it.
The one that
Okay.
was adjusted slightly was, I
The workers'
believe, the
comp.
workers' compensation, and I removed that, so that brought us down to 363.
Okay. I was just curious if they came below the cap. They did not.
Understood.
Okay. All right. So do we want to meet virtually next week or in person? Or both
So the only agenda item is budget.
is budget,
And we're talking about these specific items.
right?
We're talking about security.
Yep.
Added section and special ed.
Mhm.
I'd be fine with it.
Is everyone else okay virtually? I just want to make sure we can all communicate effectively in person. I mean, I could do both. I could do either.
I'll do either. I don't care.
I'd rather be in person. Virtually is too hard because you talk on top of each other.
Well, we do here too, but
But you can understand each other.
um,
Carl.
everyone's okay in person? What day is good for everybody?
Mary can't do Wednesday.
Did you ask her?
Yes.
She cannot. do
Mondays and
Wednesday.
Wednesdays
She
aren't
cannot
good.
do Wednesday.
I can't do Wednesday either.
Thursday? She's
What is
okay
the day?
Thursday?
What is that day?
16.
Correct.
Is that St. Patrick's Day?
No,
Special-
no, I'm
special
making
meeting
sure
should
that
be at
it's not.
6 o'clock.
6.
Can't
6
meet on
o'clock
St.
on
Patrick's
Thursday,
Day.
the 16th?
Correct.
Yes, she said yes. She's fine
Okay.
with that.
Mary's good. All right, that is it.
Thank you, everybody.
That was hard.
Much appreciated. Grateful as always for insight, questions, input to the process. And some of us are, even if I had a chocolate bar, I would have had mine as well, Kelly. So
Here, do you want mine?
no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. All right. So that is all for the superintendent's report. And we will reconvene on a special meeting on March the 16th, 2023, 6 p.m. here at Antolini.
Yep.
And I turn it over to Carl.
And we'll have the virtual just in case as well.
Yeah, we'll have the option for virtual. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
So I would like to, on the minutes, make a motion to approve the minutes with an amendment on page 1. It's just a typo.
Amend the minutes. Motion to amend the minutes.
Motion to amend and
Amend the
approve the minutes as amended. I can't do it with one motion? Well, I am. I'm doing
Okay,
it.
fine, do it.
On the first page, section F, under the budget increase totals, it says People Services, $13,618, offset by, it should be IDEA, IDEA. That's the only change I have.
We need to clarify old business of the school calendar.
What about it?
Well, it suggests leaving the dates as is until closer to election time, but it's not dates. I mean, we're just talking about the November 7th meeting.
Right.
Right.
But we might cancel and do a special meeting if we want to, because it's election day.
Okay, so, okay.
We had agreed that we were going to wait until a little bit longer into the next school year to determine whether we needed that meeting. We could cancel it or reschedule it. So that's why we left that as dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was that the second reading? Did we have it on the agenda for second reading?
It was the second reading, and now it's live in front of you. It was in your board packet, so you will also have it here so that you can actually visually see what we were talking about last time. My apologies.
All right, I'll second Carl's amendment to the minutes.
Approval to amend.
And I'll second his approval of the amended minutes.
Any other discussion? Everyone good with the minutes?
Yep.
All right, all those in favor? Mary's good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unanimous. Thank you. Expenditure report, any questions? And if not, can we have a motion to approve the expenditure report?
So moved.
Penny? Second?
I'll second.
Kelly seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Mary?
Mary, yes.
Unanimous. All right, new business, we have a healthy food nutrition certification. And Jeff, am I supposed to read this?
Yes, verbatim. And the language has to be very specific for us to continue to participate in Healthy School Lunch Program by the state of Connecticut. So this is a consolidation of both food and beverage. So we're not reading two separate motions. We have one, and then this will then be submitted no later than July 1st of this school year, of the 2023 school year, to the state of Connecticut, with the votes very clear and the motion read exactly as is on this sheet of paper.
All right, you ready?
Sure.
The New Hartford Board of Education will allow the sale of students of, gosh, I knew I was going to mess it up. The New Hartford Board of Education will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in section 10-221Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided that the following conditions are met. 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the food and beverage items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held, and must be the same place as the food and beverage sale. Can I have a motion to approve the healthy food certification?
So moved.
Second by Tony. Any discussion? All those in favor?
She said yes.
Unanimous. All right, thanks, everybody. I do not have any reports. We're old business. We have the calendar, which we voted on already. So we don't need to do anything, right? Okay. You'll have that final version. I don't have any reports, and I will take a motion to adjourn. If
At 8:14 p.m.
all those in favor?
Nobody seconded it.
Oh, Tony seconds. Thank you.
Tony seconded it.
I thought you were seconding mine, but I didn't.
No.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Oh, Mike, anybody else still have their mic on?